Hey everyone, welcome to Big Flick Energy. Arguably the film I'm the most excited for in the year 2022 is The Batman. Honestly, this film looks incredible. It's being directed by Matt Reeves, who did the Planet of the Apes trilogy. I love that trilogy, and I can't wait to see what he does with a film franchise like The Batman. This film also just excites me so much because of what the trailers have shown, and honestly, everything that I've heard about it just sounds incredible. One thing that really excited me about it was one of the first test screenings. Apparently there was a scene towards the end of the movie where there was a character reveal that got a lot of people excited. So I've been thinking for a while, who could this character be? And pretty soon after the test screening came out and news of this character came out, I kind of had an idea of who it was going to be. I didn't want to make a video for it then, because I felt like there wasn't too much information to support this. But as we've gotten closer to the movie, I'm starting to feel like my idea is coming more and more correct. So today I'm going to discuss why I believe Joaquin Phoenix's Joker is in The Batman. So I know it sounds very strange, but there are a couple of things to point to this. And the first thing, we have to look at the Joker movie itself. So one of the things in the Joker movie is it obviously has a very grounded feel. It's an original take on the Joker. And if you look at the Batman, it's also going to be a pretty different take on the Batman, especially when you look at how Riddler is being portrayed as a more realistic antagonist. It's a very grounded film. So I believe that in that way, it does fit tonally. Now, something else is in the Joker, we know that the Waynes seem to be pretty corrupt. So it didn't really go too deep into it, but you could tell Thomas Wayne wasn't the same way that he had been portrayed in a film franchise like The Dark Knight. He wasn't the hero that saved Bruce from the well that he fell into. Instead, he's this guy that punches somebody that obviously has mental problems. And he's running for mayor, which is a big thing, and I'll get to that later. So something else that you can tell about the Batman film is that Bruce's parents are actually going to be corrupt, and the Riddler's gonna try to expose that. You can kind of tell this because of the way that the trailers have been portraying the character of Bruce, saying that he's part of this too, that Alfred lied to him. So I do feel like that will be a similarity between the two. Now, rumblings of the Waynes being corrupt in the Joker and the Batman, I don't think that should be the final say for this, which is why I didn't make the video before. That's not enough evidence. Something that recently came out, which I think adds a lot of evidence to this, is the Batman prequel novel. So before the Batman came out, they released a prequel novel which discussed some of the things that you don't necessarily need to know before you go into the Batman, but honestly, they're pretty helpful to know. So they just give you a little bit more background on the characters, also telling about how Bruce learned different fighting forms from around the world when he would study in college. So things like that are really cool. One of the things that I find to be pretty important for this theory is that Thomas Wayne gave away the Wayne Manor as a home for orphans when running for mayor in the Batman prequel novel. We also know in the events of the Joker, he is running for mayor. There's obviously a similarity there where he wants to be mayor in both universes, and I wouldn't be surprised if, since a crazy man went to his house and touched his son and kind of choked his butler, he would kind of want to move away from that home. That could definitely be one of the things that pushed him to moving away from Wayne Manor and moving into the Wayne Enterprises building. Now, another thing that's pretty valuable is that in the Batman prequel novel, there's no clear mention of how the death of Bruce's parents happened, which leaves the possibility of an original take like what happened in Joker, with the Joker cult member killing them, makes sense. And in the prequel novel, it really seems like they were trying to go around that part of the origin. Like, they spoke a lot about what was happening before, what was happening after, but they very much ignored that exact point. Now, obviously, it's a part of the origin that nobody wants to hear again. We've been told it so many times, but it's not telling it in a film. It's putting it in a novel that I don't really think it hurts to that same extent. To read it just one more time and to see how this universe's Bruce took that moment in. So honestly, the fact that they left it so open in the air leaves it so that this very different take from the Joker film could actually be what's going on here. So I would say one of the biggest things that got me to come up with this theory was thinking about who would the fans get extremely excited to see on screen. Now, if it's just some random villain who, obviously it could be a villain that we all know, like the Joker, but it's by a different actor, I don't think that would get fans out of their seats. I don't think that would make fans go crazy. I think it would have to be somebody that we've seen before. And it wouldn't really make sense for it to be a character from the DCEU or something like that, since we know it's a different universe. So, I think the best option is a DC movie which does not have a universe yet, in the form of the Joker. Now, another piece of evidence that both universes chose to use as a creative decision was, instead of having Arkham Asylum, both of them have Arkham State Hospital. I know this doesn't sound like a big thing, but Arkham Asylum is such a huge thing in the comics, you'd expect it to be used in at least one of these two universes. And the fact that both of them chose to go this different path is pretty interesting. Basically, at the end of Joker, that's where he is in the film. And then also in the trailer, we see that that's where they put Riddler, in Arkham State Hospital. I also like to make a comparison to the new Venomverse that they're making with the Spider-Man movies, where they're making a ton of these villain-led projects. Then you have Joker, which started it for the DC side. After this project, I remember there being rumors of them doing other projects for similar characters where they are led by a villain and they're telling a different story of how they got to where they are. Now, they never really went to fruition. Some people said they would do it for Lex Luthor. That never happened. But if you look at some of the other things that they're trying to do with this Batman universe, they already have two shows that are going to go to HBO Max. A Gotham PD show and a Penguin TV show. So the show about Penguin, it's obviously going to be similar to that, where it's going to be led by a villain. So I wouldn't be surprised if Joker could be part of this universe, since it doesn't seem like a universe that's scared of having villain-led projects. So there are some issues with this, and I think the biggest one is the timeline, where the Joker leaves hints of the film to take place in the year 1981, while the Batman is a film which already has smartphone technology available to the public, as seen through trailers, and Batman is only around 20 to 25 years old, so it wouldn't make sense for a 40-year time jump if Batman only ages 10 years. Now, the way that I think they could fix this is actually with what the rumored scene has been, where it is the Joker showing up, but it's played by Barry Keoghan, who played Druig in The Eternals. So what I think they could do in this universe is perhaps Joaquin Phoenix's Joker started this Joker cult, which got a ton of people rallying behind him. But let's be honest, a lot of people have said that this Joker should not go against a Batman because he's not intelligent like the typical Joker is. He's more just a crazy guy that gained a massive following. Now, what if somebody that joined his cult eventually rose to take the next mantle as Joker? And that can be Barry Keoghan's Joker. It would make a lot of sense to work like that. And the timeline would fit that after Joaquin Phoenix has aged a lot, or perhaps not even him aging a lot. It's more just they realized he wasn't as intelligent as they thought, so they brought somebody else in to take the lead. So I could definitely see this being the case for the situation, where maybe we see Barry Keoghan and Joaquin Phoenix, or Barry Keoghan mentions what happened in the Joker movie, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see that, and I think that could get people on their feet. Now, another issue is Alfred, where in the Joker, the Butler looks very different from the way he does as Alfred in the Batman. Now, this could obviously just be written off as a recasting, but I don't necessarily think that's the case. Instead, I think if you look at the credits of the Joker, the first time that we see specific actors in the film that it doesn't show the characters that they played was actually the first slide that showed the actor for the Butler. So his name is Douglas Hodge, and it does not show who he was playing in the film, which I find to be pretty interesting. Obviously, there are other films that do this for minor characters. There are other characters on that slide that obviously we know who the characters are now, but they easily could have put him in another slide if they wanted to and given him a name. There's really no reference to my knowledge of him actually being Alfred, and we just know him to be a butler. They never said his name in the movie. So I think as of now, he's just a butler who doesn't necessarily have to be Alfred. We know Wayne Manor is a very large place, and I wouldn't be surprised if it happened to have more than one butler, honestly. So I think both of those issues are actually written off. The last thing that I want to say is we've heard rumblings of Joker 2 being in the works for a bit of time now, but there hasn't been any confirmation, despite it being one of those poorly kept secrets in Hollywood, that it's going to be made. And I just find that pretty interesting. It feels like a film that Warner Brothers would really want people to know about, and they just haven't really spoken about it at all. So maybe they're waiting until the Batman comes out to actually reveal it to the public that they're making Joker 2. And maybe in that sequel to Joker, we'll see what happened to Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, why there's a new Joker in charge, and how he is going to play a role in the future of the Batman story. So thank you all for watching this video. Please let me know what you think down below. Press the bell notification. Can't wait to hear your guys' thoughts. Thank you for watching. See you next time on Big Flick Energy.